Think about that for a second. To be successful does not require me to be the leader. Now, there's a TV show in America, and I'm sure maybe some of our guests from the States and others have seen it. It's called The Apprentice. Now, Jill and I watch this show periodically. We like it. I like to see the leadership ideas that come out of that type of scenario. It's a reality show where a man named Donald Trump, a very wealthy man, invites a dozen or so people into a competition to be the best leader. And in that leadership story, you see backbiting, you see arguments, you have people purposely trying to sabotage someone else's success. And periodically, you find someone in that group who is a servant leader. When he's leading, he will do so with confidence and with consideration. But when he's following, he will do so with respect and loyalty. That is an incredible leader. That's an incredible person. John the Baptist understood his position. He understood who he was. He was not the one that was the leader. He said, I'm here to point the way to the one who is the leader. In John it says, he must increase and I must decrease. Referring to Jesus Christ. He must increase and I must decrease, John, the writer of the Gospel said. John the Baptist understood that. Jesus Christ is the one, God is the one that we point to, not us. Here's 4 things I think John understood in leadership or in his position. And I think they're important for us today. Number 1, John knew how to follow well. John knew how to follow well. I don't know about you, but sometimes following is difficult. What I don't like is directions that aren't adequate. I'm sure you understand that, living in Moscow. You can't just say get out of the metro and come to the street. You may have 17 different exits out of that metro, you need to know the street. And the streets may change every other block, so you just have to know accurate directions. When Jill and I drive in a car, and you know I don't like to drive in Moscow. It is not my joy. Now here's a prayer request, and you can pray for Jill. Whenever she's with me in the car, she needs your prayer. Because I like exact details on what I'm going to do. I want her to become the global positioning system of my car. I don't know if you know those global positioning systems. They tell you where to turn, when to turn, how soon you're going to turn, what lane to be in, what the name of the road is. I mean, mine in America, I have one of those in America, my daughter has it now, but mine in America is so detailed. It knows who I am. By the 4th time it recorrects the direction because I missed it. It finally looks at me and says, Terence, dummy, listen to the directions. This program's special just for me. But in Moscow, Jill is my global positioning system. And she guides me, and she does excellent in going ahead of time on the internet, finding out which turn to make. Yesterday when we went to the embassy, she had it printed out, all the directions where to turn. I want to know who's going to be standing on the corner of the street I turn on. And she can't do that, because I'm tense when I drive here in Moscow. But leaders know how to follow well. John knew how to follow well. He did not have difficulty with saying, this is the Christ, the Son of the living God. He did not have to say, behold, the Lamb of God. He will take away the sins of the world. Look at Him. Look at Him. Do not focus on me. John became a great follower of Christ. Second thing, we already saw John worked hard for the benefit of others. John worked hard for the benefit of others. Luke chapter 3, verse 18. With many other words, John exhorted the people and preached the good news to them. He's doing it not for his benefit. He's doing it for their benefit. He preached for them. Number 3, John understood it is a blessing to be a servant. You know, there's something about being a servant of God that is an automatic blessing to your life. Years ago when I was traveling with Living Sound, a music group, we had a guy named Paul Varn on our team. Paul Varn was known as a servant of the team. It did not matter what you wanted, Paul would do it for you. It didn't matter what you needed, Paul would get it for you. It did not matter how you felt, Paul would encourage you. And as a team, we called him our our servant, our encourager, in a positive way. He loved his role. And God used him greatly. When we were depressed, there would be Paul. When we were at each other's throats, there would be Paul. Paul was a great servant leader. He didn't choose to be a leader, but he was a great servant leader. John knew the value of this servanthood to Christ. He did not argue about stepping back. He did not negotiate with Jesus, saying, you know what, why don't you take the east quarter and I'll take the west quarter, and we'll just come together periodically and have a joint session. No. John says, behold, folk, you've been listening to me, and that's been wonderful, and I'll continue to preach, and I'll continue to baptize, I'll continue to serve God. But look, here, there, that person, he is the Son of God. Follow him. Behold, the Lamb of God. Number 4, John simply knew when it was important to step aside. He knew when to step aside and let Jesus step forward. What an incredible lesson that is in myself. Understanding when I need to let myself step back and allow Jesus Christ to take a step forward. Today's challenge is simple. Learning how to become a successful number 2. Learning how to become a successful number 2. I want you to think about these questions. What is number 1 in your life? As you think about that particular question, it adds others. Is it education? Is that your number 1 goal? Is it success in the business? Is that the number 1 goal? Is it finding a husband or a wife? I got a little bit of response. That's not wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. That's a positive thing. But is it number 1? What is number 1 in your life? What is your goal of success? What is that goal? What does it look like? What does it sound like to you? If we learn a lesson from this camel-haired preacher with bug-juiced breath, here's what we discover. Following Christ should be our number 1 goal. It should be our priority in what we do. I work in these other areas. Christ is my core. Christ is my one. Christ is my only. I am not the student who is a Christian. I am a Christian who is a.
Yes, sir.